The night had arrived gently, like a soft blanket spreading itself across the sky. Stars blinked above the horizon, scattered like silver dust across a velvet canvas. And there, in the heart of the valley, lay Moonlake. Moonlake was no ordinary lake. Its waters shimmered with a quiet glow, as though the moon herself had poured fragments of her light into its depths. The air was cool and clean, filled with the scent of pine trees that grew along the shore. Each ripple of water seemed to breathe, moving slowly, as if the entire lake were alive, dreaming in silence. By day, Moonlake appeared serene, a place where birds sang and children laughed. But at night, something magical happened. As the village settled into slumber, lanterns appeared upon the water, soft golden lights, floating gently, as though the stars themselves had fallen down from the heavens to rest upon the lake. The lanterns drifted quietly, their reflections dancing across the still surface. To anyone who watched, it felt as though dreams were leaving the world of men and women, traveling across the water, rising into the starlit sky. Some said these lanterns carried wishes. Others whispered that they carried burdens, worries, and memories that no longer belonged in the waking heart. And there were those who believed the lanterns guided lost souls, showing them the way home. Legends surrounded Moonlake, woven like threads through generations. The old storytellers of the village would gather by the fireside, their voices low and steady, telling of the time when the lake was blessed by the moon itself. Long ago, when the world was restless and full of sorrow, a single beam of moonlight touched the waters and stilled them. From that night onward, the lake became a sanctuary for dreams, a place where people could release their troubles into lanterns and find peace. But to see Moonlake with one's own eyes was different than any story. The stillness of the night, the chorus of crickets hidden in the reeds, the occasional call of a night bird, all of it created a harmony that seemed to soothe even the most troubled heart. If you listened closely, you could hear the water whispering. The ripples carried a language of their own, a rhythm that felt older than time. On this particular evening, the air was especially clear. A thin mist lingered above the lake, curling and folding like a dream yet to be spoken. The moon was round and full, casting her silver reflection upon the surface. Every lantern that floated upon the water carried not just a glow, but a presence. It was as if each light contained a fragment of someone's soul, a gentle offering to the night. Along the shore, willow trees bent low, their branches dipping gracefully into the water. The willows seemed to listen, swaying softly, their leaves brushing against the surface as though blessing each lantern that passed. From time to time, a breeze carried their whispers across the lake. Secrets of those who had once walked this land, voices of those who had trusted the lanterns to carry their stories into eternity. It was said that if you stood upon the silent shores of Moonlake and released your own lantern, you would feel a weight lift from your heart. Your worries would drift away, carried by the water, rising into the night until they vanished into the stars. Some villagers swore they had woken the next morning lighter than ever before, their dreams calm and untroubled, their minds at rest. And so, every evening, when the first lantern touched the surface of Moonlake, a hush would fall across the village. Doors would close, children would curl in the bed, and silence would spread, as though everyone knew they were witnessing something sacred. It wasn't simply a ritual. It was a communion with the night, a promise that the world still held peace, even in its quietest corners. Imagine yourself now, standing there on the shore. The grass is soft beneath your feet. The air is cool and carries the faint perfume of wildflowers blooming somewhere unseen. You hear the gentle lapping of the lake, a steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. In your hand, you hold a lantern, its frame delicate, its paper glowing faintly. Inside, a single flame flickers, steady but calm, waiting to be set free. As you kneel by the edge of the lake, you notice how the surface reflects the night sky so perfectly. It is as though another world exists beneath the water. The lanterns already floating seem like constellations, drifting gently across that mirrored sky. You lower your lantern, placing it softly upon the surface, and immediately it begins to drift, its light joining the others. You watch as it moves farther and farther away, joining the river of glowing stars upon the lake. Something within you softens. The weight you didn't even realize you carried begins to loosen, slipping away with the lantern. In its place, a gentle calm fills you, like the lake itself has given you a piece of its endless stillness. Above, the moon smiles down, her silver light mingling with the lantern's glow. The stars shimmer brighter, as if they too are watching the quiet procession of dreams across the lake. You breathe deeply, your chest rising and falling in rhythm with the water, and feel a sense of belonging to the night, to the lake, to something greater than yourself. And so, the silent shores of Moonlake hold their secret, not through grand miracles or roaring power, but through their quiet, enduring presence. Every lantern that floats across its surface is a reminder that even the heaviest burdens can drift away, and even the most restless souls can find peace when the night is kind. As you linger by the shore, the chorus of crickets rises, blending with the soft splash of the water. The lanterns continue to drift, glowing steadily, each one a star reborn upon the earth. You close your eyes, and in that moment, the world feels weightless, timeless, infinite. Moonlake watches silently, as it has for centuries, guarding the dreams of all who come to its waters. And as the night deepens, you realize the truth. Sometimes, peace does not come from seeking answers, but from simply letting go and allowing the night to carry your dreams where they belong, into the endless embrace of the stars. The lantern you release upon the lake drifts farther into the night, its light growing smaller with every ripple of water. A calm silence settles over you, as though the whole world has paused to let you breathe. You stand at the shore a while longer, listening to the symphony of crickets in the side of the willow trees, until you sense something or someone watching quietly. You turn, and there, just beyond the line of trees, stands an old man. His figure is slightly bent with age, yet there is strength in the way he holds his walking stick. His eyes, though softened by the passing of years, glimmer with peculiar light, as if they carry more stories than any book could hold. His clothes are simple, worn by time, and on his face rests a smile that is both kind and knowing. "Peaceful, isn't it?" the old man says, his voice low and gentle, blending with the hush of the night. You nod, still caught between silence and wonder. "It feels like the whole world has stopped," you whisper. The old man chuckles softly. "That's the way of Moonlake. It listens, it remembers, and it guides." He steps closer, his stick pressing lightly into the earth as he walks. The faint glow of lanterns reflects in his eyes, making them shine like stars. You're not the first traveler to find yourself here, and you won't be the last. Curiosity stirs within you. "What do you mean?" The old man tilts his head toward a nearby bench made of smooth stone, worn by generations who sat before him. "Come, sit with me. The night is long, and Moonlake has many secrets. You should hear its story." You follow him, settling onto the bench. The air feels warmer here, as though the lake itself leans closer to listen. The lanterns drift lazily, their reflections shimmering on the old man's weathered hands as he folds them together. "Long ago," he begins, "before the village was built, these waters were wild. The lake was deep and restless, fed by storms that swept through the valley. Travelers feared it, for many who entered these would never returned. They said the lake swallowed them whole." He pauses, his gaze fixed on the moon's silver reflection. His voice grows quieter, almost a whisper. But one night, under a sky much like this, the moon herself looked down with pity. She saw restless souls wandering, lost, heavy with burdens they could no longer carry. So she sent down her light, a single silver thread, which touched the surface of the lake, and the waters grew still. The old man leans on his stick, his face lit by the glow of a passing lantern. From that night forward, Moonlake became a sanctuary, not for the living alone, but for the lost and weary souls who wander between worlds. The lanterns, he gestures toward the drifting lights, are their guides. Each one carries a story, a memory, or a wish. They float until they vanish into the night sky, carrying their burdens to the stars, where peace awaits. A shiver runs down your spine, not of fear, but of awe. You glance at the lanterns again, noticing how each one seems to glow with a different hue, some golden, some almost silver, others faintly tinged with blue or green, as if every light holds something deeply personal, something unseen. Are they real souls? You ask softly. The old man smiles a little sadly. Some are. Some belong to those who have left this world, searching for rest. Others are made from the worries of the living, the pain we hold inside, the memories too heavy to keep. The lake makes no difference. All are welcomed. All are carried. His words linger in the air like mist. You sit in silence, feeling the weight of their truth. For the first time, you notice how calm your own heart feels, as though the lake has already begun to lighten it. The old man continues, his voice steady and rhythmic, like the rocking of a cradle. Every villager here knows the ritual. Each evening, when the first star appears, they light a lantern. Into it, they breathe their hopes, their griefs, their forgotten wishes. Then they release it, trusting the lake to carry it away. It is not only a tradition, it is a way of life. Without the lanterns, the village would drown in its own sorrow. But with them, peace endures. He glances at you knowingly. And now, you too have given something to the water, haven't you? You remember your lantern, now far across the lake, its glow a faint star among the others. You nod. Yes, I let something go tonight, something I couldn't even name. The old man's smile widens, and for a moment, you see not frailty but a timeless wisdom in his eyes. That is the gift of Moonlake. It asks for nothing but honesty. Even if you cannot name your burden, the water knows it, and the lantern carries it where it belongs. The two of you sit together in the quiet, watching as more lanterns appear on the surface. From the village across the shore, small figures approach with gentle hands, releasing their glowing offerings to the water. Each flame joins a river of light, a procession of dreams flowing toward the horizon. Do you live here? You ask after a while. The old man chuckles, tapping his stick against the earth. I have lived many places, but always I return to Moonlake. Some call me a storyteller. Others think I am the keeper of these legends, but I am simply a man who listens. The lake speaks, and I share its words. There is something comforting in his presence, as if he's been waiting for you all along. The way he speaks, the rhythm of his voice, blends seamlessly with the night, like another lantern drifting across the lake. Tell me, you whisper, do the lanterns ever fail? Do they always find their way? The old man's expression grows thoughtful. No lantern drifts forever. Some sink, some flicker out before reaching the horizon. But even then, their light is not wasted. The water remembers every flame, every story, every burden. Even the smallest glow leaves a trace of peace behind. That is why the lake shines at night. It carries the memory of countless lanterns that came before. You fall silent again, watching the reflection stretch across the water. The old man leans back, his voice softer now, as though speaking more to himself than to you. I have seen thousands of lanterns, yet each one is different. Some heavy with sorrow, some light as laughter, some trembling with unspoken words. And every time I watch them rise, I am reminded that peace is not found in holding on, but in letting go. His words sink deep into your heart, soothing like the lull of a gentle song. The night feels endless, yet timeless, as though you are suspended between waking and dreaming. At last, the old man rises, his stick tapping against the ground. The lake has welcomed you now, he says softly. Stay as long as you wish. Listen to its whispers. Perhaps it will show you more than you expect. With that, He turns and walks slowly toward the village, disappearing into the mist. You remain seated by the shore, watching the lanterns, listening to the water, and feeling as though you are no longer just a visitor, but a part of the story itself. The mist lingers long after the old storyteller's footsteps fade into the distance. You remain by the shore, your thoughts wrapped in the glow of the lanterns. The night is deep now, yet it feels alive, as if each ripple, each drifting light is quietly breathing, keeping you company. The village lies across the water, its outline barely visible through the veil of moonlight and fog. Tiny lamps flicker in the distance, like stars descended to earth. You feel the pull of that place, the gentle invitation of warm homes, the promise of answers waiting just beyond the trees. And so, with a final glance at the lake, you rise to your feet. The journey, it seems, is only beginning. The path from the shore is narrow, lined with roots and stones, but it feels strangely familiar, as though your feet already know the way. The willow branches brush softly against your shoulders, whispering goodbyes as you pass beneath them. The night air grows warmer with every step, filled with the scent of pine and wood smoke drifting from the hidden village ahead. As you walk, you think back to the old man's words, the lanterns, the souls, the burdens carried away by water and flame. Could it be true, or was it simply a tale told to strangers under the moonlight? And yet a quiet certainty rests inside you. The lake is more than water. The lanterns are more than fire. You can feel in the rhythm of your heart, steady and calm, as though the story has already begun to take root within you. At last, the trees part, and the village appears before you. Nestled at the edge of Moonlake, it glows with a quiet charm. Narrow cobblestone paths weave between wooden cottages, their roofs thatched and moss-kissed by time. Smoke curls gently from chimneys, carrying the scent of bread and herbs. Lanterns hang above doorways and along fences, casting pools of golden light that flicker on the ground like fireflies. It is not a grand place, but there is a warmth to it, a sense of belonging that you cannot ignore. The kind of place where time slows, where hearts find rest. You step carefully into the village, your footsteps softened by moss and earth. Though the hour is late, you hear soft voices in the distance, villagers murmuring, laughter carried on the breeze, and the steady hum of life continuing even in the silence of night. A few faces turn toward you, gentle eyes meeting yours, and though they do not speak, their gazes are welcoming. You pass by a small bakery, its wooden shutters closed, but its scent still spilling into the street. You notice a blacksmith's forge, silent for the night, yet glowing faintly with the embers of fire that refuses to sleep. And beyond, at the heart of the village, you see a small square with a fountain, its waters glistening under the moon. You pause there, drawn by the quiet rhythm of falling water. A bench waits nearby, and you lower yourself onto it, your body heavy with weariness. For a moment, you simply breathe, letting the calm of this place sink into you. It is then that you notice an inn at the edge of the square, a modest wooden building with ivy climbing its walls. A lantern swings gently above the door, etched with a symbol of the moon. The sight stirs something deep within you, a recognition, though you've never been here before. The door creaks open and a woman steps out. Her hair is silver, flowing like moonlight down her shoulders. Her eyes are clear and kind, her presence quiet yet steady. She carries a tray with empty mugs, setting them by the door before glancing up at you. "You look weary, traveler," she says softly, her voice like a lullaby woven into the night. "Have you come far?" You hesitate, then nod. "Far enough, though I'm not sure from where. It feels as though I've been walking forever." She studies you with gentle eyes, as if weighing the truth of your words. Then she smiles, faint but warm. Many who find their way to Moonlake feel the same. Come inside. Rest. There's always room here for wanderers. Her invitation stirs gratitude within you. Rising from the bench, you follow her into the inn. The air inside is warm, filled with the scent of honey and herbs. A fire glows on the hearth, its light dancing across the wooden beams of the ceiling. Tables are scattered across the room, empty now, but bearing the faint echoes of laughter and stories told earlier in the evening. The woman gestures toward a chair by the fire. Sit. You'll warm yourself there. I'll bring you tea. You lower yourself into the chair, sinking into its softness. The fire's glow settles over you, soothing your tired muscles. The crackle of the logs and the steady hum of night lull you into a state of calm, almost as if the inn itself is cradling you. Moments later, the woman returns with a steaming cup. She sets it on the small table beside you, and the fragrance of chamomile and lavender rises into the air. This will help you rest, she says kindly. You wrap your hands around the cup, the warmth seeping into your skin. As you sip, the taste is gentle, sweet, and comforting. Tell me, she asks softly, sitting across from you, what brings you here? Few arrive in this village by accident. You pause, staring into the fire. Dreams, you admit. Strange dreams, pulling me toward the water. I don't understand them, but they led me here to the lake. The woman tilts her head, her eyes shimmering in the firelight. Dreams are never accidents. They are lanterns of their own, guiding us through the dark. Perhaps Moonlake has called you, as it has called many before. Her words settle over you like a soft blanket. You think of the old man, his story, the drifting lanterns. You think of your own lantern, now carried away into the sky. And you realize every step, every moment has led you here, to this village by the water's edge. The woman rises, her silver hair catching the firelight. Rest now. Tomorrow, you will understand more. The lake reveals its secret slowly, but always in time. She leads you upstairs, where a simple room awaits. A bed covered in soft quilts, a window that opens to the sound of the lake, and a lantern glowing faintly on the table. As you lie down, exhaustion melts from your body. You watch the lantern's flame flicker gently, as though keeping watch over your dreams. Beyond the window, the lake whispers softly, carrying the voices of countless lanterns drifting into the night. Your eyelids grow heavy. The warmth of the bed, the rhythm of the water, and the lingering taste of tea guide you into slumber. And as you drift into sleep, you feel it once again, that quiet pull, that gentle invitation, drawing you deeper into the mystery of Moonlake. The night passes gently, wrapped in the hush of dreams. You stir only once, when the lake sighs through your open window, like a mother singing her child to rest. By morning, you awake refreshed, though time itself feels blurred. Did you sleep for hours or days? You cannot tell. The inn is quiet as you rise from bed, the quilt still carrying the faint scent of lavender. Outside, the sun has only just begun to climb the sky, painting the village rooftops with a golden glow. For a while, you linger at the window, watching the mist lift from Moonlake. Lanterns still drift across its surface. Fewer now, their flames pale against the growing daylight, but still shimmering, still alive. Something stirs within you, a gentle pull like the echo of a dream not yet finished. The innkeeper's words return to you. Tomorrow, you will understand more. The lake reveals its secrets slowly, but always in time. And so, after a quiet meal, you step outside. The village is already stirring. A baker placing loaves upon a wooden shelf. Children carrying small baskets of herbs. A woman sweeping her doorstep while humming a soft tune. They greet you with warm nods, as though they already know you belong here. Yet your heart pulls you past them all toward the water. The path to the lake winds between meadows and trees. Soon, you find yourself standing once again at its shore, where the willows dip their branches low, as if bowing to drink from the water. Their leaves sway in the morning breeze, glinting like emerald threads in the sunlight. You pause, listening. At first, all you hear is the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle lapping of the lake against its banks. But as you walk deeper into the grove of willows, the sound changes. The air grows stiller. The rustle becomes a murmur, and then, unmistakably, a whisper. You stop in your tracks. It is faint. So faint you might think it only a trick of the wind. Yet the longer you listen, the clearer it becomes. Words, soft and fragile, as though spoken from far away. I'm sorry. Don't forget me. I'm home now. Your heart quickens, though not with fear. The voices carry no malice. They are tender, wistful, like fragments of memories floating through the air. You take another step, and the whispers shift again, threads of longing weaving between the trees. One voice, soft as a sigh, drifts close to your ear. Thank you for letting me go. You turn, but no one stands beside you, only the willow branches, swaying gently, brushing the surface of the lake. The air is thick with presence, unseen yet undeniable. It is as if the willows themselves hold the dreams and voices of those who came before you. Perhaps they are the keepers of the lanterns, catching every whisper released into the water and singing them back to the earth. Drawn by the sound, you move deeper still. The grove thickens, branches arching overhead to form a green cathedral. Light filters through the leaves, dappled and golden, falling upon the ground in shifting patterns. And everywhere, the whispers surround you, weaving together like a chorus of forgotten songs. Some are sorrowful, heavy with grief. Others are tender, filled with love. A few sparkle with laughter, fleeting yet pure. Each voice different, yet all blending into one vast harmony, a tapestry of human longing woven into the air. You pause beneath the largest willow, its trunk gnarled and wide as a doorway. Its branches sweep down to the ground, enclosing you in a private chamber of green. And here, the voices grow strongest. You close your eyes. For a moment, the world fades, and all that remains is sound. The whispers wrap around you, rising and falling like waves. I miss you. I forgive you. Be at peace. Remember me. The words brush against your heart like hands upon glass, gentle yet insistent. They do not demand. They simply exist, echoes of lives once lived, burdens once carried. And then, suddenly, among the countless voices, one stands apart, clearer, nearer, as though speaking directly to you. You were meant to find me. Your eyes snap open, and the grove is still. The branches sway lazily. The lake ripples softly. Yet the voice lingers in your mind, undeniable. A chill runs down your spine, though it is not unpleasant, more like the sensation of a hidden door opening somewhere deep within you. You feel that same pull again, the one that brought you to Moonlake, the one that has been guiding you all along. You whisper into the air, almost afraid of your own voice. Who are you? No answer comes, only the sigh of the willows. And yet, you cannot shake the certainty that something or someone has reached out to you. You step closer to the water's edge, kneeling beneath the willow branches. The surface of the lake shimmers with reflections of lanterns still drifting, even in daylight. For a heartbeat, you think you see a face within the ripples, not clear, not solid, but a suggestion. Eyes like starlight, a smile like memory. And then, just as quickly it is gone. You exhale slowly, your hands trembling. The whispers fade again into rustling leaves, softer now, like a lullaby. You realize the grove has given you only a glimpse, a fragment. The rest lies ahead, waiting to be uncovered. Rising to your feet, you step back from the water. The air feels lighter now, as though a burden you didn't know you carried has lifted from your shoulders. The willows sway, and for the briefest moment, you imagine they are bowing in farewell. As you leave the grove, the voices fade, until only silence remains. But the memory of them lingers, etched into your mind like the faint glow of a lantern long after its flame has vanished. By the time you return to the village path, the sun has risen higher, and life stirs once more. Children laugh in the square. A fisherman carries nets toward the lake. A bell tolls softly from a distant tower. Yet none of it feels quite the same. For now you know, the lake does not merely carry lanterns. It holds voices, memories, and truths whispered through time. And among them, one voice has chosen you. You walk on, your heart steady, your steps guided not just by the road beneath you, but by something greater, an unseen thread pulling you deeper into the story of Moonlake. Narration fades with the sound of soft wind moving through willow branches, merging with distant water ripples. The rest of the day drifts by like a quiet dream. After leaving the grove of whispering willows, you return to the village, your thoughts still echoing with voices that may or may not have been real. And yet, they feel real, etched into your heart like carvings upon stone. The villagers go about their lives with gentle rhythm. You spend the afternoon wandering among them, watching the baker pull steaming loaves from his oven, listening to children chase each other along cobbled streets, seeing fishermen mend their nets in the fading light. Every detail feels peaceful, timeless, as though the village exists in a world untouched by haste or noise. But even as you smile at these simple moments, something tugs at you, a quiet pull, as steady as a current beneath the lake's surface. It leads you back toward the water, back to where the willows bow. You don't resist. You cannot. By the time evening arrives, you find yourself once again at Moonlake's edge. The sky glows with the fading colors of dusk, rose and amber melting into violet and indigo. The air is cool, carrying the scent of wet earth and pine. You settle onto a smooth stone by the shore, your eyes drawn inevitably to the lake's vast expanse. And then it happens. At first, you think it is only a reflection of the first evening star, a shimmer upon the surface, faint and fragile. But as you watch, it grows brighter, its glow separating from the sky above. Slowly, gracefully, a lantern rises upon the water. Its light is soft, yet steady, golden at the center, fading into a halo of silver, as if starlight itself has been woven into its flame. You hold your breath. The lantern drifts forward, gliding over the rippling water. Its reflection stretches long and wavering, like a trail leading into another world. Around it, the lake seems to hush, as though all of nature leans closer to witness. The willows bow deeper, their branches trembling softly in the evening air. You rise to your feet, compelled by wonder, by something deeper than curiosity. Your steps carry you closer to the water's edge, your heart thrumming with quiet awe. The lantern glows brighter still, and for a moment, you feel as though it sees you, as though its light is not merely drifting, but reaching for you. The whispers of the willow grove echo in your mind. You were meant to find me. Could it be this lantern? This light, unlike any other? The lantern moves farther from the shore, yet you cannot look away. You follow it, your feet carrying you along the narrow path that traces the water's edge. The lake is vast, yet the world feels small. Only you, the lantern, and the silence between. The old storyteller's voice returns to you, steady and calm. Each one carries a story, a memory, or a wish. They float until they vanish into the night sky, carrying their burdens to the stars, where peace awaits. What story does this lantern carry? Whose memory, whose burden does it hold? You walk until the village lights are behind you, until only the stars and the lantern remain. The night deepens, and the world grows hushed. Crickets sing softly in the grass. An owl calls once, then falls silent. The lantern drifts steadily forward, as though guiding you. At last, you stop where the willows gather thickest, their branches nearly brushing the water. The lantern floats just beyond, glowing brighter against the darkening sky. You sink to your knees at the shore, your reflection rippling beside its light. And then you hear it, a whisper, faint but clear, drifting not from the trees this time, but from the lantern itself. A voice, trembling like wind upon glass. Do not be afraid. You freeze. The sound is unmistakable, though no lips move, no figure speaks. The lantern glows warmer, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Another whisper follows. Let go and be free. Your chest tightens. The words resonate deep within you, touching places you had long locked away. Memories stir, burdens you thought buried, regrets you thought forgotten. And yet, instead of pain, you feel a strange lightness, as though the lantern is not only carrying someone else's story, but calling to you as well. You close your eyes, letting the whispers wash over you. The voice fades into others, softer, countless, weaving together into a chorus. It is as if every lantern ever released upon this lake has left behind an echo, and tonight you are hearing them all. When you open your eyes again, the lantern has drifted farther, yet its glow remains steady, unwavering. It feels less like an object and more like a companion, silent, patient, guiding. The water ripples softly, and you reach out instinctively, your hand hovering above the surface. You do not touch it. You cannot, but for a moment, you feel the warmth of its glow upon your skin. Tears prick your eyes, though you cannot say why. Perhaps it is sorrow, perhaps relief, or perhaps it is simply the beauty of this moment. The first true lantern you have ever seen, carrying not only its own story, but now, somehow, carrying yours. You watch as the lantern continues its journey, moving steadily toward the horizon. Other lanterns soon join it. Dozens of tiny lights, each rising from distant shores, glowing like fallen stars returning to the sky. Together they form a river of light, drifting toward the heavens. The sight takes your breath away. It is as though the lake itself has become a mirror of the cosmos, every lantern a star reborn, every reflection a constellation remade. For a long while, you remain there, silent, your heart carried upon the glow of those lights. The night deepens around you, but within, you feel illuminated, softened, lightened, freed. Eventually, your body reminds you of its weariness. You rise slowly, casting one last look at the lanterns. The first one, your lantern, glows brightest still. You watch until it is only a distant shimmer, until the darkness swallows it whole. And even then you feel it, within your chest, within your soul, a light that does not fade. With steady steps, you turn back toward the village, the whispers of the willows fading into the night. Yet you know this is only the beginning. The lantern has chosen you, in some quiet, unseen way. And now, its journey has become yours. The night is deep by the time you reach the edge of the village once again. Lanterns still float across Moonlake behind you, their glow forming a quiet river of light in the distance. You walk slowly, reluctant to turn your back on them, but also feeling the weight of exhaustion in your body. And yet, there is something else that lingers, an invisible pull, not unlike the one that first drew you to the lake. Tonight, however, it feels stronger, more deliberate. It is as if the lantern itself, or perhaps something beyond it, wishes for you to go further. You pause at the edge of a narrow path, one you hadn't noticed before. It winds away from the village, framed by tall grasses and pale stones that glimmer faintly under the moonlight, though unfamiliar. It beckons you with a strange comfort, as though it has been waiting for you all along. You hesitate only a moment, then follow. The path is quiet. Each step crunches softly upon the earth, the night air cool against your skin. Above, the moon hangs low, silvering the landscape with its light. Ahead, you see a small hut nestled at the lake's edge, half hidden by a curtain of willow branches. Its windows glow faintly with the warm shimmer of firelight. The pull in your chest strengthens. You know this is where you are meant to go. As you draw closer, the scent of beeswax and herbs drifts into the air. You hear the faint crackle of firewood, and another sound, a woman's voice, low and soothing, humming a tune you do not recognize yet somehow feels familiar. You stop at the threshold, unsure if you should knock, but before you could decide, the door creaks open. She stands there, bathed in the soft glow of her hearth. Her hair is dark with streaks of silver, falling gently over her shoulders. Her eyes, calm and luminous, hold a reflection of both moonlight and flame. She wears a robe of deep blue, embroidered with patterns of stars and waves, as though the night sky itself had been stitched into her clothing. For a moment, neither of you speak. And then she smiles. I was wondering when you might find your way here. Her voice is warm, like the hush of embers after a long fire. You blink in surprise. You were expecting me? She steps aside, gesturing for you to enter. Not you precisely, but someone. The lake whispers when a soul is ready to listen. Tonight, it whispered your name. Hesitant but curious, you step inside. The hut is small, but filled with quiet wonders. Shelves line the walls, crowded with jars of herbs, bowls of polished stones, and rows upon rows of unlit lanterns, each one crafted with delicate care. The air is rich with the scent of sage and lavender. At the center of the room, a small wooden table holds a basin of clear water, and beside it, a box of tiny candles. The woman closes the door and moves gracefully across the room. She takes one lantern from the shelf, a simple frame of wood and silk, its surface painted with constellations. I am the keeper of the lake, she says softly. It is my task to prepare these lanterns, to light them with care, and to release them upon the water. Each carries with it a story, a burden, or a hope. You watch her set the lantern gently upon the table. She dips her fingers into the basin and lets droplets fall onto the silk, as though blessing it. Then she strikes flint against stone, kindling a small flame. The light flickers, soft and golden, filling the lantern's core. When she lifts it, the glow seems alive, pulsing faintly like the beating of a heart. Whose story does it carry? You ask, your voice hushed. She studies the flame for a moment before replying. This one belongs to a child from the village. His father is far away, lost to the sea. Each night, the boy whispers his wishes into the lantern, hoping they will reach his father's spirit. The lantern does not bring him back, but it brings peace, and peace is what the lake promises. You feel the words sink into you, deep and steady. So, every lantern you whisper is a prayer? She shakes her head gently. Not always a prayer. Some are confessions. Some are sorrows too heavy to carry. Others are dreams too fragile to hold alone. The lanterns bear them all. They rise into the night sky, carrying each burden where no hand, no heart can weigh them down again. Her eyes meet yours, calm and searching. Tonight, you followed one. Did it speak to you? The memory floods back. The whisper from the lantern, the voice telling you not to be afraid, urging you to let go. You nod slowly. Yes, I think it did. The keeper studies you for a long, quiet moment. Then she sets the lantern carefully aside and moves to a shelf where dozens more wait. She runs her fingers lightly along their edges, as though listening to their silent stories. The lake does not reveal itself to all, she says at last, only to those who are ready, those whose hearts carry a weight that longs to be lifted. Her words linger in the air, and suddenly you feel seen in a way you had not expected, as if the quiet burdens you've carried, loneliness, questions, regrets, are no longer hidden but illuminated, reflected back at you by her steady gaze. You lower your eyes, unsure what to say. The keeper moves closer, placing one hand gently over yours. Her touch is light, but grounding. You need not tell me your story tonight, she whispers. The lake already knows. When the time comes, you will release it. Until then, let the lanterns guide you. The warmth in her voice softens the ache inside you. For the first time in a long while, you feel no urgency to explain yourself, no pressure to speak aloud what rests heavily in your chest. It is enough that she understands without asking. She releases your hand and gestures toward the door. Go back to the water tomorrow night. Watch the lanterns rise. Listen, and when you are ready, we will light one together. You nod, unable to find words but filled with quiet gratitude. As you step outside, the night greets you with silver air, the lake stretching vast and shimmering beyond. The keeper lingers at her doorway, lantern in hand, its golden light spilling across the ground. Remember, she calls gently, her voice carrying across the stillness, the lake does not take, it frees. Her words echo in your mind long after you've left the hut behind. The path feels different on the way back, though it is the same earth beneath your feet. The grass whispers softly as the breeze stirs, and above, the stars gleam brighter, as if listening. You find yourself back at the lake's edge once more. Lanterns still drift across the water, glowing like constellations reborn. But tonight, they no longer feel like distant mysteries. Tonight, you know there is someone who tends to them, who listens, who cares. And as you stand there, watching their soft light float steadily toward the heavens, you wonder perhaps someday soon one of them will carry your story too. The night is quiet as you return from the keeper's hut, her words echoing softly in your mind. The lake does not take, it frees. You carry those words with you as you step once more to the water's edge. The lake greets you with stillness, its surface painted in silver by the moon. Lanterns still float across the expanse, tiny flames drifting in slow procession, like stars swimming gently toward the heavens. For a long while, you simply stand there. The cool night air brushes against your skin. The grass bends beneath your feet, and your thoughts swirl like ripples in the water. Each lantern you see reminds you of what the keeper said. Every light is someone's burden, someone's story, someone's hope. And you cannot help but wonder, what story would mine carry? You lower yourself onto a smooth stone at the shore, the night wrapping around you like a blanket. The hush of the lake calms your breathing, inviting you inward, deeper into yourself. Memories rise slowly, like lanterns drifting from the shadows of your mind. You remember the roads that brought you here, the long nights of wandering, the dreams that tugged you toward this village, the ache of questions you never dared to speak aloud. You remember the loneliness that clung to you on the journey, a silence heavier than words. You remember regrets, moments left unfinished, promises you could not keep. They swirl inside you, heavy and unspoken. And yet, here by the lake, they no longer feel unbearable. The keeper's voice lingers like a gentle hand upon your shoulder. The lake does not take, it frees. You rise slowly, your body moving as though guided by something unseen. The path seems to lead you back, almost of its own accord, toward the keeper's hut. The willow branches bow low as you approach. And when you push open the door, the gentle hum of her voice greets you once more. She looks up, her calm eyes steady, as though she already knows why you have come. Without a word, she reaches to the shelf and draws down a lantern, a simple frame of bamboo. It's silk plain and unmarked. She places it gently in your hands. Tonight is yours, she whispers. Let the lantern carry what you no longer wish to hold. You cradle the lantern, feeling its weight, light yet filled with possibility. She sets a small candle into its center and gestures toward the basin of water upon her table. Speak to it, she says softly. Not aloud, if you do not wish to. In your heart is enough. You close your eyes. Your fingers brush the silk frame, cool and smooth beneath your touch. And within the silence, you let your heart speak. You whisper to the lantern the worries you have carried across countless roads, the sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the memories you thought you had buried. You pour into it the heaviness of your solitude, the quiet ache of regrets that followed you like shadows. With each thought, with each memory released, the lantern seems to grow warmer, as though it listens, as though it understands. When at last your heart feels emptied, The keeper touches your shoulder gently. It is ready. She strikes flint against stone, and a flame springs to life. She holds it steady until you guide the lantern forward, letting the tiny light slip into its core. At once, the lantern glows with soft golden radiance, alive with the stories you entrusted to it. The keeper smiles. Go, the lake is waiting. Lantern in hand, you step back into the night. The path to the water feels sacred now, lined with silence that is no longer heavy, but reverent. The lantern's glow lights your steps, casting long, wavering shadows along the ground. When you reach the shore, the lake greets you with stillness once again. Stars shimmer above, their reflections trembling upon the water. Other lanterns drift far out across the expanse, but in your hands, you hold your own, the first you have ever lit, the first that carries your story. Kneeling at the water's edge, you lower the lantern gently onto the surface. For a moment, it bobs softly, its flame flickering as if testing its strength. Then, slowly it steadies and begins to drift. You watch, your breath caught between relief and wonder. The lantern floats farther, its glow casting a trail of light across the rippling water. And as it moves, something loosens within you. The worries you place inside it no longer press against your heart. They travel outward, carried upon the lake, lifted by its quiet grace. You sit there, watching it drift until it joins the others, tiny flames that look like stars scattered across the horizon. Together, they form a constellation upon the water, a river of light flowing steadily toward the night sky. And in that moment, for the first time in a long while, you feel peace. True peace, not because your story is finished or your journey is complete, but because you no longer walk beneath the weight of every sorrow. You have let it go. You have given it to the lake. And in return, the lake has given you freedom. A single tear slips down your cheek, though it is not a tear of grief. It is release. It is gratitude. The night holds you gently as you remain there, gazing at the lantern until it becomes only a faint shimmer upon the horizon. Your chest feels lighter, your breath slower, your heart calmer. At last, you lean back upon the grass, the earth cool beneath you, the sky endless above. Stars scatter across the heavens, mirrored by the lanterns upon the lake, as though the world has become two skies, one above, one below, each filled with light. You close your eyes. The whispers of the willows drift once more into your ears, softer now, no longer restless but comforting. They do not carry sorrow, only a lullaby. The rustle of their leaves merges with the ripple of water, the song of night itself. And in their music you surrender. The heaviness that once clung to you is gone. The lantern has taken it, lifted it, freed it. What remains is only stillness, only peace. Sleep comes easily now, not with the weight of exhaustion, but with the ease of release. Your last thought before drifting into dreams is a lantern, your lantern, still glowing somewhere across the lake, carrying your story into the embrace of the stars. Morning breaks gently over Moonlake. You awaken to the sound of bird song drifting through the open window of the inn where you spent the night. The air is fresh, carrying the scent of dew and pine, and sunlight spills across the wooden floor in golden ribbons. For the first time in what feels like forever, you do not wake heavy. The burden that had pressed against your heart has softened, loosened, carried away on the lantern you released into the lake. A quiet peace lingers inside you, as steady as the morning light. You sit for a while in silence, letting yourself breathe. Every sound around you, the chirp of sparrows, the creak of wood, the distant splash of oars upon the lake, feels richer, gentler, as if the world has shifted slightly, showing you its softer side now that your eyes are open to it. When you step outside, the village greets you with warmth. Cobblestone paths wind between small cottages, their walls whitewashed and roofs thatched with straw. Smoke curls from chimneys as the scent of bread drifts through the air. Children run laughing through the streets, their voices carrying like bells. And yet, beneath the bustle of everyday life, there is something else you notice, a quiet unity. Each house, each family, seems to share in a practice, one that connects them not only to the lake, but to each other. You first notice it when you pass an old woman sitting on her doorstep, a half-finished lantern resting in her lap. Her hands move with practiced care, threading silk through a bamboo frame. She hums softly to herself, her voice steady, weaving both sound and memory into the fabric of her lantern. "Good morning, traveler," she greets you, her eyes crinkling with kindness. "Another night of peace, yes?" You nod, still caught between curiosity and awe. "Yes, peace. And you're making a lantern?" She smiles knowingly. "Of course. Every home prepares them. Dreams need a vessel. After all, what is a wish without a flame to carry it?" Her words settle into you like a truth you had always known but never spoken. As you continue walking, you see it everywhere. Families gathered around kitchen tables, painting lanterns with symbols of stars, waves, and trees. A father guiding his young daughter's hand as she brushes a small flower onto silk. A mother whispering into a lantern while stirring a pot of soup, as though seasoning both with her hopes. Even the children play their part. Some chase each other with tiny, unlit lanterns, pretending to send their laughter into the sky. Others sit quietly, scribbling little notes or drawings, tucking them gently inside the lantern frames before sealing them. Everywhere you turn, the village breathes in harmony with this ritual. It is not merely tradition, it is life. You pause at the edge of a courtyard, where a group of villagers sit in a circle. In the center, a young boy clutches a lantern close to his chest. His eyes are squeezed shut, his lips moving silently. When he finishes, he sets the lantern carefully on the ground, his small hands trembling with reverence. The adults smile, nodding gently, and one of them lights the flame within. The lantern glows softly, and the boy gazes at it with wonder, his eyes shining as though already lighter. You feel a tug in your own heart, remembering your first lantern, the weight it carried, and the freedom it gave. As the villagers prepare their lanterns, the keeper's words echo once more in your mind. Some are confessions, some are sorrows, others are dreams too fragile to hold alone. Here, in this village, you see the truth of it. Lanterns are not only vessels for grief, but also for love, joy, and the fragile wishes people dare not speak too loudly. They are a way for every soul, young or old, to feel heard, even if only by the water, by the stars, by themselves. You wander deeper into the village until you reach the marketplace. Stalls overflow with fruits, herbs, and woven goods, but among them are also bundles of bamboo, jars of paint, and rolls of silk in every color imaginable. Lantern making is not only a ritual but a livelihood, woven into every corner of daily life. One merchant beckons you closer. His stall is filled with brushes and dyes. He dips one brush into a jar of indigo paint and demonstrates how it glides across silk, leaving behind a perfect crescent moon. "Dreams need symbols," he explained with a grin. "Stars for hope, waves for change, flowers for new beginnings. Each mark tells the flame where to carry your story." He offers you the brush. Hesitant but intrigued, you try it for yourself, drawing a small line across a scrap of silk. It feels clumsy, uncertain, yet when you step back, the merchant chuckles warmly. "There, your first mark. It need not be perfect. Dreams never are." You smile, thanking him, and tuck the memory into your heart. As the day stretches on, you continue to explore, every step revealing another layer of the village's bond with the lake. You pass a group of teenagers laughing as they share stories while painting their lanterns, each trying to outdo the other with bold strokes of color. You see an elderly couple sitting side by side, their lantern plain and unadorned, yet glowing with the weight of a lifetime shared. By evening, the entire village gathers near the water's edge. The air is alive with anticipation, every hand holding a lantern. Children chatter excitedly, elders whisper quietly, and families stand close together, their faces lit by the soft glow of countless flames. The keeper moves gracefully among them, her robe flowing like water. She carries a long taper, touching its fire to lantern after lantern, each one flaring gently to life. She murmurs blessings as she goes, her voice calm, a thread weaving through the hush of the crowd. And then, as the sun sinks and twilight paints the sky violet and gold, the villagers release their lanterns together. One by one, the lights touch the water, bobbing gently before drifting outward. Soon, the lake is alive with thousands of tiny flames, a sea of dreams glowing softly beneath the rising stars. You stand among them, breath caught in your chest. It is unlike anything you have ever seen, an entire village entrusting their hearts to the lake, letting go with faith and gentleness. Children clap and laugh as their lanterns join the others. Couples hold hands, watching their lights drift side by side. Elders close their eyes, their faces serene, their wishes carried once more into the sky. And you feel part of it now, not an outsider, but a thread in this vast tapestry of dreams. The lantern you released last night was only the beginning. Tonight, you see how every story joins the others, how every flame becomes part of something greater. The keeper's voice rises softly above the murmur of the crowd. Tonight, as always, the lake receives, and in return it frees. May your dreams find peace. May your burdens find rest. Her words ripple across the water like a prayer. You remain there long after the crowd disperses, watching the lanterns drift, their glow merging with the stars. And in the stillness, you realize that this village is not silent at all. It speaks without words, through every lantern, every light, every dream entrusted to the night. It is a village of silent dreams, and tonight, you have become part of its story. The night after the village of silent dreams feels different. You can sense it the moment you wake in your small room at the inn. Instead of the quiet hum of daily life, the entire village stirs with anticipation. Voices carry down the cobblestone streets. Children run past with arms full of silk, and the air itself feels charged, as though waiting for something extraordinary. When you step outside, the village is alive. Everywhere, lanterns are being crafted, dozens and hundreds, their shapes and colors filling every table, window, and courtyard. Some are painted with stars, others with dragons, mountains, or rivers. Some are tall and elegant, others round and playful, glowing faintly in the afternoon light, as if eager for their moment. You soon learn from the innkeeper that tonight is no ordinary evening. It is a festival of 1,000 lanterns, a sacred celebration held once each year, when every soul in the village releases their lanterns together. Some say the lake waits for this night. The innkeeper tells you with a smile, on this night, the dreams of the people rise as one, and the heavens themselves lean closer to listen. The words linger in your heart. As the day passes, preparations unfold like a grand tapestry. In the marketplace, stalls overflow not with food alone, but with lantern-making supplies. Families crowd around, choosing silk of every hue, crimson, sapphire, gold, ivory. Children chase each other through the streets, holding lantern frames above their heads like crowns. Musicians tune their flutes and drums, their notes floating above the laughter and chatter. The keeper of the lake moves gracefully among the people, her presence calming the bustle. She blesses lanterns with a touch of her hand, whispering prayers that flutter like leaves in the wind. When she passes you, she smiles knowingly. Tonight, she says softly, you will see what Moonlake truly is. Her words are a promise, and perhaps a mystery. By dusk, the village gathers at the shore. The crowd is vast, stretching along the lake like a ribbon of anticipation. Families stand close together, lanterns cradled in their hands. The water glimmers in twilight, waiting like a mirror for what is to come. The keeper raises her lantern high. It is simple, white silk with a single painted star in the center. Yet it glows brighter than any flame you have seen, as if the lake itself breathes through it. Her voice carries across the gathering, steady and serene. Tonight, as every year, we give our dreams to the sky. We give our burdens to the water. And we remember that no soul drifts alone. Her words ripple through the crowd, sinking deep into your chest. And then the moment arrives. The keeper lowers her lantern to the water. For a heartbeat, it floats alone, a solitary flame drifting gently outward. But then, one by one, thousands of hands follow. Lanterns touch the surface, softly, reverently, until the lake blossoms with light. It is overwhelming. Lantern after lantern joins the others, their glow multiplying, merging, until the water is no longer dark, but a vast sea of golden fire. The flames stretch far across the lake, reflections trembling in the ripples, until it seems the stars themselves have descended into the water. You draw a breath, but words cannot come. The sight steals them away. The villagers watch in silence, their faces lit by the glow of 1,000 flames. Children's eyes widen with wonder. Couples clasp hands. Elders close their eyes and breathe deeply as though releasing lifetimes of memory. And you feel yourself dissolving into the moment, no longer a traveler but part of something greater. Then the music begins. Soft at first, a single flute, notes rising like the lanterns themselves. Then drums join, low and steady, echoing the heartbeat of the crowd. Lutes and voices weave in, singing songs older than memory. The festival is alive, not just with light, but with sound and spirit. Villagers dance along the shoreline, their steps graceful and flowing. Children whirl in circles, laughter rising into the night. Even you feel your body swaying gently, caught in the rhythm, your heart moving to the same beat as the drums, the lake, the stars. The lanterns drift farther, spreading into the distance until the horizon itself shimmers. The night sky mirrors a lake, both filled with golden lights, until you can no longer tell where water ends and heavens begin. It feels as though the world is folded in on itself. Sky and lake, stars and lanterns, dreams and reality, all blending into one endless canvas of light. The keeper's voice rises again, soft but carrying above the music. Look well, traveler. Tonight, you see not only our lanterns, but the truth they carry. Every flame, every dream, is part of the same river. Some will drift far, some will fade quickly, but none are ever lost. Her words stir something deep within you. You think of your own lantern, the one you release on your first night. Somewhere among these 1,000 lights, it drifts still, carrying your burden into the endless sky. No longer alone, but among countless others. Hours pass, but time feels suspended. The lanterns glow steadily, drifting farther until they become tiny specks, merging with the stars above. The music slows, fading into soft murmurs, until the only sounds the water's gentle lap and the occasional whisper of wind. The villagers begin to leave the shoreline, their lanterns already far beyond reach. Yet they walk away with peace etched upon their faces, as though each flame has carried away a weight no longer theirs to bear. You remain, unable to step away just yet. The lake still glimmers with countless lights, and you watch them, mesmerized, feeling as if each one breathes a secret into your heart. One lantern, drifting closer than the others, seems to pause before you. Its flame flickers brightly, then gently dims, as though bowing farewell. You cannot explain why, but tears rise unbidden to your eyes. It is as if the lake itself has acknowledged you, accepted you. The keeper approaches quietly, standing beside you. "It is beautiful, isn't it?" she whispers. 1,000 lanterns, 1,000 lives. Each one is a fragment of the great story we all share. The lake reminds us, none of us are ever truly alone. Her words linger in the night, joining the glow of the lanterns. At last you turn from the shore. The village behind you hums with quiet joy, the celebration still echoing in laughter and song. But within you, something has shifted. You are not simply a traveler anymore. You are a witness to something vast, timeless, and sacred. The festival of 1,000 lanterns has woven itself into your heart, binding you to Moonlake in ways you cannot yet understand. And as you walk back to the lantern-lit streets, one truth burns softly inside you. This is only the beginning. The night of the festival still lingers in your heart as dawn breaks gently over Moonlake. The sky glows with soft streaks of lavender and rose, and the lake itself is calm again, its surface smooth as glass. Yet, in your mind's eye, you can still see the countless lanterns drifting across the water, rising into the heavens, 1,000 tiny flames carrying 1,000 dreams. You walk the quiet streets of the village. The celebrations are over now, and the people sleep soundly in their homes. The air smells faintly of smoke and sweet oils, remnants of last night's offerings. Somewhere, a rooster calls. Somewhere else, a child stirs in sleep, murmuring a dream still alive in their heart. But you cannot rest. Something tugs at you, a gentle pull, the same sensation that first drew you to Moonlake, as though the lake itself still whispers your name. You wander past the shoreline, the earth damp beneath your feet. The willows bow low, their leaves brushing against your shoulders like quiet guardians. You follow no map, no road, only instinct, and then you see it. Hidden between two leaning willows is a narrow trail, overgrown and half forgotten. Vines coil over the entrance, and moss blankets the stones that mark its way. It seems the villagers have long since stopped walking here. The path waits, silent and still as though testing you. You hesitate for a moment, glancing back toward the sleeping village, but the pull grows stronger, urging you forward. You step onto the trail. The forest closes, and almost immediately, tall trees arch overhead, their branches weaving together like the ribs of a great cathedral. The light filters through in soft shafts, painting the ground in shifting patterns. The air is cool, tinged with the fragrance of earth and wildflowers. Each step you take is muffled by leaves, and each sound, the call of a bird, the rustle of a rabbit in the brush, feels magnified by the silence. Yet beneath the silence, you begin to notice something else, a faint hum. At first, you think it is only the wind through the trees, but as you continue, it grows stronger, more distinct, like a soft chant, ancient and wordless. It seems to rise from the very ground, as if the forest remembers something long buried. You pause, resting your hand against the bark of a willow tree. Its surface is rough and cool, and in that moment, you hear it clearly, whispers, not like the willows of the lake, but voices, gentle, sorrowful, longing. The path is alive with memory. After a time, the trees part, and you step into a clearing. At its center stands a shrine. It is old, weathered by centuries, its stones cracked and covered in ivy. The roof is half collapsed, and vines curl over the once-carved walls. Yet despite its ruin, there is a presence about it, a quiet dignity, as though time has not diminished its spirit. At the base of the shrine lies a broken lantern stand. The wood is blackened, but faint traces of gold paint still cling to its edges. You kneel and brush away the moss, revealing carvings, spirals of stars, waves of water, and a flame cradled in gentle hands. You realize this place was once a sacred part of the lantern tradition, perhaps older than the village itself. Your heart beats faster, for you know you have discovered something the villagers themselves may have forgotten. You step closer. The shrine hums faintly, the same low vibration you felt along the path. It grows stronger as you reach out to touch the stone. The air feels thicker, as if charged with unseen energy. And then, as your hand brushes the cold surface, your mind fills with visions. For a moment, you see the past. Villagers gather here in robes of white, holding lanterns high. They chant together, their voices rising like wind, their lanterns glowing brighter than stars. You see the lantern keeper, not the woman you know, but another, a figure from long ago, standing at the center, raising a flame that seems to burn without consuming. You blink and the vision fades. The shrine is silent once more, only the sound of leaves shifting in the wind. But your heart races with the weight of what you've seen. This place is not just forgotten. It is sacred. It holds the very roots of the lantern's magic. A soft sound draws your attention. From the shadows, the current keeper of the lake emerges. Her expression is solemn, though not surprised to find you here. She walks slowly across the clearing, her hand brushing the old stones with reverence. "You found it," she whispers, "the forgotten path." Her eyes meet yours, calm but knowing. This shrine was once the heart of our tradition. Before the village, before the festival, it was here that the first keeper lit the eternal flame, the flame that has passed from hand to hand, keeper to keeper, through generations. You listen, your breath caught in your chest. She kneels before the broken lantern stand, her fingers tracing the faded carvings. But time changes all things. The village grew, the people built new rituals. And so this place was left behind, its memory fading into whispers. Few even know it exists now. Her voice softens, and she looks toward you. But the flame remembers. The path remembers. And now, so do you. The two of you sit together in the clearing. The keeper speaks gently, telling stories of the first dreamers who brought their burdens here, of how the shrine once glowed with hundreds of lanterns each season. their light guiding lost souls to peace. Her words weave around you like the forest air, calm and timeless. You realize the forgotten path is not just about the past. It is about connection, about remembering that the lanterns are more than ritual or beauty. They are a bridge between the living and the dreaming, between burdens and release, between sorrow and hope. As dusk begins to fall again, the keeper stands. Her lantern glows softly in her hand, casting light against the crumbled stones. "This place has called you for a reason," she says. "The lake chose you to walk this path. Perhaps you will understand why in time." She leaves the shrine quietly, her lantern bobbing like a star in the deepening twilight. You remain for a while, seated before the old stones, the hum of the earth vibrating through your bones. Fireflies drift lazily around the clearing, their lights flickering like miniature lanterns. The air smells of moss and night-blooming flowers, soft and sweet. At last you rise. The forest seems less heavy now, as though welcoming you. The whispers in the leaves no longer sound sorrowful, but content, as if relieved that someone has listened. You walk back along the forgotten path, the glow of the lake in the distance guiding you home. And though the shrine lies behind you, its presence lingers. You know you will return, for Moonlake has revealed another piece of its mystery, and your journey is only deepening. The path through the forest slowly opened, and at last you step free of the trees. Ahead, Moonlake stretched wide and silent, its surface shining like polished silver beneath the rising moon. The festival was over now, the laughter of the villagers of memory carried away on the wind. Only the stillness of night remained, broken by the occasional soft lap of water against stone. You pause on the shore, drawing in the air. It was cool, filled with the faint scent of lilies and damp earth. Somewhere far across the water, a night bird called, its voice lonely yet comforting. Fireflies floated lazily over the reeds, their glow soft and rhythmic, like tiny guardians of night. Your heart was still heavy from what you had seen on the forgotten path. The shrine had awakened something in you, a sense of mystery, of history, of voices long lost. And yet, here on the lakeshore, that feeling did not leave. It deepened, almost without thinking. You stepped closer to the edge of the water. The lake was calm tonight, calmer than you had ever seen it. Its surface did not ripple with breeze or fish. It waited, still and endless, as though holding its breath. You crouched low, your reflection looking back at you, haloed by moonlight. For a long moment, you said nothing. You only listened, and then you heard them. At first, you thought it was only the water shifting against the stones. But no, there were patterns in the sound, shapes hidden in the soft rush and pull, words, voices, faint, delicate, drifting in and out like mist. You leaned closer, heart thrumming. The voices were gentle, not frightening, not loud. They were whispers, as though carried across vast distances, echoing softly in the water's memory. And you began to understand. The voices belonged to dreamers. One voice rose first, tender and weary. "I am free. I have let go." Another followed, softer. "My burden rests here now. I drift with the lanterns. I am light." You closed your eyes, letting the words wash over you. They did not speak to your ears alone. They sank deeper, as though entering your heart. There were many voices, each distinct yet blending into one gentle chorus. Some laughed quietly, as though remembering joy. Others sighed, the sound like long-forgotten relief. Together, they created a symphony of peace. These were not ghosts. They were not trapped. They were memories, echoes of those who had stood at these shores, who had released their lanterns into the lake and found freedom in the act. Their voices lived on, carried in the ripples of Moonlake. You leaned forward, the cool water brushing against your fingertips. The whispers grew clearer, closer. I was lost, but the lantern guided me. I carried sorrow for years, and now it drifts beyond the stars. The lake remembers us, even when the world does not. Tears pricked at your eyes, not of sorrow, but of wonder. You realized then that Moonlake was more than a place. It was a keeper of stories, a vessel that held the peace of countless souls. Every lantern ever released had left a trace here, a whisper in the water, a promise that no dream was ever forgotten. The air shifted gently around you, and the moonlight grew brighter, scattering across the water like 1,000 silver threads. For a moment, you felt as though you were floating too, as though your body had dissolved into the lake, and your heart was one with the whispers. And then you heard one voice above the rest. It was soft, fragile, but achingly familiar. "Traveler." You froze, breath caught in your chest. The voice came again, clearer this time, as though directed only at you. "Traveler, you have heard us. You carry what others have forgotten. Do not be afraid." The sound wrapped around you, warm and reassuring. It was neither man nor woman, neither old nor young, but something timeless, a voice woven from all voices. It continued, "The path you walk is not chance. The lake has called you, as it calls all who seek peace. But you must listen deeper, for what is forgotten waits to be remembered." And then, as suddenly as it had risen, the voice faded back into chorus. You sat back, your hands trembling lightly, your heart full. The voices grew faint once more, blending into the steady rhythm of the water. Soon they were indistinguishable from the gentle lap of waves. But you knew what you had heard. The lake had spoken to you. You sat there for what felt like hours, your thoughts drifting like lanterns on the current. You thought of the shrine, the keeper's words, the endless flames on the water during the festival. You thought of your own burdens, of the lantern you had released. And slowly you realized something. The lake did not just hold the voices of the past. It reflected you, your fears, your hopes, your unspoken longings. Its whispers were not only echoes of others, but a mirror of your own soul. You touched the water again, gently, and this time the ripple carried your reflection outward, distorting and blending with the moonlight. For an instant, you felt your own whisper join the others, carried softly away. "I am here. I am listening. I will remember." The night deepened. Stars thickened above you, glittering like lanterns hung across the sky. The world was vast and endless, and yet here on the shore of Moonlake, you felt part of it all. At last, fatigue tugged at your limbs. You leaned back onto the grass, staring up at the sky, letting the sound of water lull you. The whispers had faded now into silence, but their comfort remained. Your eyes grew heavy. As you drifted towards sleep, you thought of the words spoken by the lake. "What is forgotten waits to be remembered." And in your dreams, you felt lanterns rising one after another, carrying not just the burdens of others, but your own, glowing softly as they drifted into the eternal night. The voices of the lake lingered in your dreams long after you left the shoreline. For days, you carried them with you. The soft murmurs of past dreamers, the promise that no burden was ever lost. Each time you walked near the water, you thought you could hear them again. Faint and hidden, a memory woven into every ripple. But one evening, as twilight spread across the horizon, the lake changed. The stillness you had grown used to gave way to a restless energy. The willows along the shore bent low, their leaves thrashing in the sudden wind. The sky darkened quickly, faster than seemed natural, clouds rolling in heavy and thick. The air smelled of rain, sharp and electric, as though the heavens were preparing to speak. You paused, your heart unsettled. The lake, once calm and shining, now rippled with unease. Waves began to rise, tossing against the stones, scattering reeds and petals. Lanterns that floated quietly from earlier offerings bobbed erratically, their flames shivering in the wind. It was then that you saw her. The lantern keeper stood at the edge of the water, her robe snapping in the gusts. Her lantern glowed brightly in her hands, defiant against the growing storm. She moved swiftly, her eyes sharp, scanning the lake as if searching for every fragile flame that still floated upon it. You hurried toward her, your voice barely carrying above the wind. "What's happening?" Her answer came steady, though her expression was strained. "Moonlake is restless. A storm is coming." The waves rose higher now, dark waters thrashing against the shore. Lanterns scattered like stars flung from the sky, some extinguished, others carried away by the currents. Without hesitation, the keeper waded into the shallows, holding her lantern high. She reached for one flame, then another, cradling them as if they were living hearts. And in that moment you understood, These were not just lights. They were dreams, hopes, burdens, voices entrusted to the lake. And if they were lost, something greater would vanish with them. You stepped forward, your shoes sinking into wet sand. The wind whipped your hair. Rain began to fall in heavy, cold drops. The lake surged angrily, tossing lanterns like driftwood. But you did not falter. "I'll help," you said, though your voice was nearly lost in storm. The keeper looked at you, her lantern reflecting in her eyes. For a brief instant, she hesitated. Then she nodded. Together, you moved into the water. The cold bit into your legs as waves slapped against you. But still you reached. One lantern floated nearby, its silk soaked but its flame flickering stubbornly. You cupped your hands around it, shielding it from the wind, and lifted it gently above the water. The moment your fingers touched the frame, a warmth spread through you. The flame pulsed softly, and you heard a whisper, faint but clear, "Thank you." You blinked, heart pounding. Was it your imagination? Or had the lantern truly spoken? You carried it back to shore, placing it safely on a rock where the keeper relit its struggling flame. The lantern glowed stronger, steadier, as though grateful. One by one, you and the keeper worked. The storm raged harder, lightning tearing across the sky, thunder shaking the earth beneath your feet. The rain drenched you, your clothes heavy, but you pressed on. Each lantern felt like a soul in your hands. Some were nearly extinguished, their flames no more than a breath. Yet when shielded and restored, they shone again. Others drifted far, and you swam out to meet them, your body straining against the pull of the waves. Each time you touched one, you felt it whisper. Voices of dreamers, soft words of relief, laughter, gratitude. They were alive in some way you could not explain. And with each lantern you saved, your understanding deepened. This was not simply ritual. This was devotion, connection, a promise that the dreams of the people mattered, that no hope or sorrow entrusted to the lake should be lost, even in storm. At last, you and the keeper gathered the last of the straying lanterns. The two of you stood side by side in the shallows, your arms heavy, your breaths ragged, but the lanterns glowing steadily once more. The storm still raged, but something had shifted. The waves seemed less furious, the wind less wild. As though the lake itself had seen your effort, your reverence, and softened. The keeper turned to you, her face illuminated by the glow of a dozen flames. Her expression was unreadable for a moment, then softened into quiet gratitude. "You understand now," she said gently. "Each lantern carries more than light. They are the weight of souls. To protect them is to protect the heart of all who trust this place." Her words settled over you like the rain, cool and cleansing. You nodded, your chest heavy with both exhaustion and awe. The storm began to fade. Clouds parted slowly, the rain easing to a soft drizzle. The sky revealed patches of stars, glittering faintly through the mist. The water calmed, its fury sinking back into stillness. Lanterns floated gently once more, their flames unwavering, their reflections shimmering in silver trails across the lake. The keeper set her lantern on the surface, releasing it back to the current. You followed, lowering the ones you had saved into the water with reverent hands. Together, you watched them drift away, glowing brighter against the night. And for a moment, the storm felt like it had never been. The two of you stood silently, listening to the gentle lap of the waves. The keeper closed her eyes, her lips moving in a prayer you could not hear. Then she looked at you, her gaze soft but piercing. "You were meant to be here tonight," she said. "The lake does not call without reason. Remember this." Her lantern's glow touched her face, and in it, you saw both strength and sorrow, hope and timeless patience. You wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the words would not come. Instead, you bowed your head, letting the silence speak for you. Later, when the village slept, you sat alone at the shore. The storm had washed the air clean, and the stars shone brighter than you had ever seen. The lanterns you had saved drifted far now, blending with the heavens, becoming indistinguishable from the constellations above. And you thought of what you had learned, that dreams, even fragile ones, deserved to be protected, that burdens, once given to the lake, deserved to be honored. You touched the water gently, your fingers tracing ripples across its surface. "None are ever lost," you whispered, and for the first time, you believed it fully. The storm had passed. Moonlake was once again calm, its waters glistening under a sky washed clean by rain. The stars above shone brighter, as though they had waited patiently for the clouds to part, eager to reveal their quiet light. Lanterns floated gently across the surface, steady flames drifting like a constellation upon the water. You remained at the shore long after the keeper had left. The night was cool, scented with damp earth and willow leaves dripping with rain. Every sound was soft now. The rustle of reeds, the distant hoot of an owl, the tender lapping of water against the stones. And yet, despite the peace that settled around you, something stirred within your chest. The storm had left more than damp clothes and tired limbs. It had left you with a truth you could no longer ignore. The lanterns were not only for others, they were also for you. The keeper's words echoed in your mind. You were meant to be here tonight. The lake does not call without reason. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps Moonlake had called you, not only to witness but to release. For so long, you had carried the weight of your past. Memories tucked away, untouched but never forgotten. Moments of wonder, moments of loss, the laughter of youth, the silence of farewells. They had followed you from one path to the next, whispering when the nights grew quiet. And now, standing at the edge of the sacred water, you realized it was time to let them go. In the village, lanterns were kept ready for those who came with heavy hearts. That night, you found your way to the lantern house, a small wooden structure beside the keeper's dwelling. Inside, shelves were stacked with frames of bamboo, sheets of thin silk, brushes, and bowls of ink. The faint glow of candles lit the room, their flames trembling softly against the walls. The keeper awaited you there, as though she had known you would come. "You are ready," she said simply. You did not question how she knew. Instead, you bowed your head, and she guided you to a table where the tools of creation lay waiting. "Every lantern is a vessel," she explained. "It carries what the heart has held too tightly. To create one is to open yourself. To release is to honor the memory, not to forget it." Her words were gentle, yet they filled you with a trembling anticipation. You sat at the table, fingers brushing over the silk. The keeper left you in silence, only the candlelight for company. For a long time, you simply stared at the empty lantern frame. What memories would you place within it? Slowly, they rose to the surface. The sound of laughter in summer fields, when you were a child running barefoot through tall grass. The warmth of your mother's hand guiding yours as you learned to write. The voice of your father telling stories by firelight, his words weaving dreams you carried into sleep. Then came the heavier memories. A friend you lost too soon, their absence leaving an echo in your days. The home you left behind, never again to return. The nights when loneliness sat beside you like a shadow, when the world felt too heavy to carry. Each one came, sharp and vivid, as though the lantern itself summoned them forth. Your hands began to move, guided not by thought but by heart. With a brush, you painted symbols onto the silk, images that only you understood. A tree beneath which you once played. A star that reminded you of nights spent gazing upward with wonder. A river that carried your childhood reflections. Every stroke felt like a release. Every image, a breath exhaled after years of holding it in. When the lantern was finished, you placed it gently upon the frame. Its shape was simple, yet within it lived your entire story. The keeper returned then, her steps quiet. She studied your lantern with eyes that saw more than its form. She nodded slowly, her expression touched with reverence. "This is not just a lantern," she murmured. "It is a life. Your life. Are you ready to let it fly?" Your throat tightened. To release it meant to accept the past, to set it free into the night. It was not forgetting, it was surrender. You nodded. Together, you walked back to the shore. The lake gleamed under the starlight, lanterns still drifting peacefully upon its surface. The air was cool, almost expectant, as though the world itself waited for what you would do next. You held your lantern close. Its silk glowed faintly in the moonlight, the symbols painted upon it shimmering as if alive. You knelt at the water's edge, lowering it gently until it floated upon the ripples. The keeper touched your shoulder. "Breathe into it," she said softly. Give it your farewell. You close your eyes. Inhale, exhale. With that breath, you poured your memories, your grief, your joy, your childhood laughter and tears into the flame. You let them rise, no longer heavy within you. And then you released it. The lantern drifted away from your hands. At first, it moved slowly like the others. But then, something extraordinary happened. Its flame grew brighter, warmer. The lantern lifted, not sinking into the water's embrace, but rising above it. You gasped softly as it rose higher, carried not by the current, but by the air itself. Higher and higher it floated, glowing like a star reborn. The other lanterns remained on the lake, their reflections trembling, but yours climbed steadily toward the sky. The keeper watched silently, her face illuminated by its golden light. Some lanterns, she whispered, are meant to join the heavens. You stood transfixed as your lantern drifted upward. Its glow did not waver. Instead, it grew stronger, shimmering like the sun caught within silk. Higher and higher, until it joined the constellation above, indistinguishable from the stars themselves. And in that moment, something shifted within you. The weight you had carried for so long was gone. The grief had softened. The memories remained, but they no longer bound you. They were free, just as you were free. Tears touched your eyes, not from sorrow, but from release. You whispered into the night, "Thank you." The words carried into the stillness, answered only by the hush of the lake. But you knew they were heard by the lantern, by the keeper, by the very stars themselves. The keeper stepped closer, her voice steady, tender. You have given your memories a new home. They will never be lost. They will shine forever above you. You looked upward, your lantern now a star among stars. For the first time in years, you felt whole. The lake had not only received your burdens, it had lifted them into eternity. That night, you slept by the shore, the sound of gentle waves cradling your dreams. And in your sleep, you dreamed not of storms or shadows, but of light. 1,000 lanterns rose above you, and among them, yours shone brightest, guiding your path into tomorrow. And in your heart, you carried peace. The night after your lantern rose into the heavens, you felt different. Your heart was lighter, unburdened. Sleep came more easily, dreams calmer than they had ever been. The memory of your lantern lifting toward the stars replayed in your mind each time you closed your eyes, a reminder that even the heaviest weights could be transformed into light. When the morning sun finally spilled over the valley, Moonlake sparkled like liquid crystal. The village was already awake, the people tending to their gardens, preparing meals, or mending nets along the shore. Life here moved gently, always in rhythm with the lake. And yet, though the day was peaceful, you could not shake the memory of the keeper's words the night before, when she had watched your lantern rise into the stars. Some lanterns are meant to join the heavens. You wondered, how do the lanterns shine so brightly? What power gives them their light? That evening, when the village grew quiet and the first lanterns of the night were released upon the water, you sought out the keeper. You found her near the lantern house, arranging frames and sheets of silk with the same care as always. She looked up as you approached, her calm eyes already knowing why you had come. "You felt it, didn't you?" she asked softly. You nodded. "When my lantern rose, it was as though something greater carried it, something beyond me. Where does that light come from?" For a long moment, the keeper was silent. She studied you carefully, as if weighing whether you were truly ready to hear the truth. Then she set her work aside and gestured for you to follow. "Come," she said. "It is time you saw what few have ever seen." She led you along a narrow path that curved behind the village, away from the familiar shores. The night air was cool, carrying the faint perfume of blooming jasmine. Crickets chirped, and somewhere in the distance, a night bird sang a lonely note. The trail wound upward into a grove of ancient trees. Their trunks were twisted, their roots sprawling across the earth like veins. Lanterns hung from branches here, unlit, swaying gently in the breeze. The path grew steeper until you reached a stone arch, half hidden by ivy. Beyond it lay a small clearing. At its center stood a shrine. It was simple yet breathtaking, built of pale stone worn smooth with age. Carvings of stars and moons spiraled across its surface. Symbols so old they seemed to hum with quiet energy. At the shrine's heart burned a single flame. It was unlike any fire you had ever seen. The flame glowed with hues of silver and gold, tinged with faint blues like the midnight sky. It flickered without smoke, without heat, as though it did not belong to this world at all. The air around it shimmered, alive with something that felt both ancient and eternal. You stepped closer, your breath caught in your chest. "This," the keeper whispered, her voice reverent, "is the eternal flame." She knelt before it, bowing her head, and you instinctively followed. The flame pulsed softly, almost as though it acknowledged your presence. "It is said," the keeper began, "that this flame was born from starlight itself. Long ago, when the moon blessed the waters of this lake, a fragment of her light fell to the earth. It became fire, not a fire of destruction, but of memory, hope, and peace. The eternal flame." You stared at the dancing light. "And every lantern?" you asked quietly. "Every lantern," she said, "is given its glow by this flame. Without it, they would be no more than empty vessels of wood and silk. With it, they become carriers of dreams, of burdens, of wishes. The flame gives them life." Her words wrapped around you like the night wind. You realized then that the lantern you had released, the lantern that had carried your childhood memories, had been touched by this very flame. Your chest tightened with awe. "But how?" you asked softly. "Does it never die?" The keeper's gaze remained fixed on the silver-gold fire. "Because it is fed not by wood or air, but by the hopes of those who come to the lake. Each lantern returned to the waters, each burden released, renews the flame. The more the people give, the brighter it burns. And those centuries have passed, it has never once dimmed." You watched as the flame flickered, casting soft light across the carvings of the shrine. It felt alive, as if it carried the voices of countless dreamers who had come before you. The longer you stared, the more you swore you could hear faint whispers within it. Laughter, sighs, the sound of prayers released long ago. The keeper reached into a small clay bowl beside the shrine and withdrew a lantern frame. Carefully, she held it near the eternal flame until its delicate silk walls caught the light. A soft glow spread instantly through the lantern, filling it with warmth. She placed it in your hands. "Do you feel it?" she asked. The lantern pulsed lightly in your palms, like a heartbeat. The glow was not harsh, but soft and steady, alive in a way ordinary fire could never be. "Yes," you whispered. "It feels alive." "That is because it is," the keeper said gently. "Every flame from this fire carries with a fragment of starlight. It connects each lantern to the heavens, and to every soul who has ever released one." You gaze at the lantern and wonder. It was more than light. It was connection, to the lake, to the past, to something greater than yourself. The keeper set her hand lightly on your shoulder. "This is why we guard it," she said. "Why the lanterns must be protected. They are not simply paper and fire. They are the echoes of lives, the voices of dreamers, the proof that even in darkness, light endures." Her words sank deep into you, filling your heart with a reverence you had never felt before. You looked once more at the eternal flame, its glow steady, unyielding, infinite. It was more than legend. It was truth. The two of you sat in silence for a long while, the only sound the gentle flicker of the silver flame. Time itself seemed to pause in the clearing. At last the keeper rose. "Come," she said. "The eternal flame is not meant to be gazed upon endlessly. It is meant to remind us of what we must carry into the world, that peace is never truly gone, as long as even one spark remains." You followed her back to the grove, your thoughts heavy with wonder. When you emerged once more upon the lakeshore, you looked out across Moonlake. Lanterns drifted peacefully upon the water, their glow reflected like constellations. But now you saw them differently. Each one was not merely a light upon the water, but a living piece of the eternal flame. Starlight carried in fragile hands, sent forth to bring peace to restless hearts. And above them, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as though in recognition. You closed your eyes, letting the truth settle deep within you. The eternal flame was real, and through it, every dream, every burden, every memory entrusted to the lanterns would never be lost. They would burn forever in the heart of Moonlake, in the heart of the stars. That night, as you drifted into sleep, you dreamed not of sorrow or wandering, but of a single flame, silver and golden, eternal and infinite, burning quietly, watching over the world. And in that flame, you felt your own soul reflected, eternal, unyielding, at peace. The night was still. Moonlake stretched before you, calm as polished glass, reflecting a sky awash with stars. The air was cool, touched with the faint perfume of night-blooming jasmine. Crickets hummed from the reeds, and the willows whispered softly to one another as their branches swayed in the breeze. It was your last night by the lake. The thought stirred something in your chest, a quiet ache, a reluctance to leave this place that had become more than a refuge. It had become a part of you. Here you had released your burdens. Here you had found meaning in whispers, lanterns, and starlight. And here you had discovered the eternal flame, the heart of Moonlake's magic. But dawn would come soon, and with it, your journey would continue. The keeper had said little when you told her you would be leaving at sunrise. She had only nodded, her calm eyes reflecting understanding. The lake calls us only for as long as we need it, she had said. When its work is done, it lets us go. And so tonight, you stood at the shore one final time, a lantern cradled gently in your hands. This lantern was not like the others you had made. It was simple, delicate bamboo frame, thin silk walls, a faint golden glow waiting within. And yet it felt heavier, as though it carried the weight of farewell itself. The keeper joined you, her presence quiet and steady as always. She did not speak at first. Together, you gazed out across the water, watching the hundreds of lanterns already drifting, each one a small world of light upon the lake. "Do you feel ready?" she asked softly at last. You nodded. "This one is different. It feels final." Her eyes glimmered with something like kindness. "Because it is. This lantern will carry not only your burdens, but your gratitude, your peace, and the part of yourself you leave with Moonlake. Such lanterns do not vanish. They live on in the stars, guiding you wherever you go." Her words settled over you like a blessing. You knelt at the edge of the water, lowering the lantern carefully until it touched the surface. The glow within it flickered, reflected in the mirror of the lake. For a long moment, you simply watched it float there, unwilling to release it from your touch. Memories stirred. The night you first arrived, weary and uncertain. The whispering willows. The storyteller's tale. The keeper's gentle guidance. The festival of 1,000 lanterns. The storm, the voices in the water, the eternal flame. And your own lantern of memories rising into the stars. Moonlake had given you more than peace. It had given you yourself. You closed your eyes and whispered into the night, "Thank you." Then, with a slow breath, you let go. The lantern drifted away from your fingertips. At first, it moved slowly, joining the gentle current of light across the water. Then its glow grew stronger, shimmering with hues of gold and silver, like the eternal flame itself had blessed it. The lantern floated farther and farther, until it seemed to merge with the reflection of the stars upon the lake. You felt your chest lighten. It was as though all that remained of your burdens had slipped into that lantern, leaving you free at last. The keeper placed a hand on your shoulder. "The lake will remember you," she said softly, "just as you will remember it. That is the way of things. Nothing is ever truly lost." You turned to her, gratitude filling your voice. "And you? Will you always remain here?" She smiled faintly, her expression touched with mystery. "I am bound to the lake, as the lake is bound to me. My lantern will rise when my time comes. Until then, I tend the flame, so that others may find their peace." You bowed your head, deeply moved. "Then I will carry your kindness with me, wherever I go." The night deepened. Together, you and the keeper sat in silence, listening to the water, watching the lanterns drift until the horizon shimmered with gold. One by one, they became indistinguishable from the stars above, as if the heavens themselves had leaned closer to embrace them. When the first faint blush of dawn touched the sky, you rose. The keeper stood with you, her eyes reflecting the pale light of morning. "This is not the end," she said. "The lake will always be here, waiting. Should your heart grow heavy again, it will call you. and you will know the way back. You nodded, though deep inside you felt that the peace you carried now would never leave. With your pack upon your shoulders, you walked slowly through the sleeping village. Doors were closed, lanterns unlit. The silence broken only by the call of a distant bird greeting the dawn. When you reached the path leading away from Moonlake, you paused and looked back one last time. The lake shimmered in the rising light, calm and eternal, its surface glowing faintly with the memory of 1,000 lanterns. The willows bowed gracefully toward the water, the mountains beyond framed in soft mist. And for just a moment, you swore you saw your final lantern still drifting, glowing brighter than the rest, as though waiting to guide you on your way. You smiled, your heart at peace. Then you turned, and with steady steps, you walked into the morning. As the sun rose higher, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Moonlake remained behind you, yet never truly gone. For within your heart, it lived still. The silent shores, the whispering willows, the keeper's wisdom, the eternal flame. And above, when you looked at the heavens, you knew your lantern shone there among the stars, a reminder that peace was not a place to be found, but a light to be carried. And so, your journey continued, not burdened, not lost, but free. Free to walk forward with the night's stillness in your veins, and the memory of Moonlake glowing forever within your soul.